This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome back to Live Talk with Dr. B. Hill. Today, we're going to go back to our discussions involving the children. So, Dr. B, you ready to head this discussion on?
This is a very big discussion. You are so right. Today we have Doug Smith, we have Samantha, we have Travis, and we have Josh. And they're all coming into the studio right now. Hi, Samantha.
Hello.
Hey, Doug, how are you? Hey,
Good.
Josh.
Good.
And
Hey there.
no, and
Hello.
there's so this is a really heavy conversation that is going to be taking place, and I'm going to let Dr. Smith lead it.
Thank you, Dr. B. How are you today, by the way? You look like you're feeling a whole lot better.
I am feeling better, but it's driving me crazy. I have bronchitis on top of everything, so I'm
Mercy.
all bundled up
We all look
in
forward to
my sweatshirt. So
All right, so Chrissy, uh, every day we run out of time, so let's jump to that first slide because every day we run out of time. Okay, guys. All right. I really take this dialogue seriously, and I know you do also. So I really want all of us to be as effective as we possibly can. And sometimes in order to be effective, well, most times in order to be effective, you got to go back to the basics. You got to answer the simple question first. Okay? And the simple question here, okay, the subject being, is this genetic defect being passed down to the children and the grandchildren? In other words, is this genetic defect inheritable? Okay? And the genetic defect that we're talking about is called methylation, and that's the point we're going back to right now. Methylation. The picture that you see on the screen in front of you. Okay, I think this is one of the most effective graphics that we have to convey to people what we're trying to say. There on the top, that's a language. That is a language. That is how genetic people talk to each other. Okay, that is how people who study DNA, that's how they talk to each other. Okay, every profession has its own lingo. Okay, the police get on the intercom, and it's they have all those codes and everything, and they all know what each other is saying. Everybody has their own lingo. Josh, I'm sure in your where you work, there are dialogues and words that if Sam and Travis and myself came into where you work, we'd have no idea what they were saying, but everybody there knows what it means. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Totally. Yes,
Okay.
sir. I
And
agree.
for any job, any profession, everybody
Yes.
has their own lingo. And what you're looking at on the top there is nothing more than how they talk to each other. To them, that's what a gene looks like. Okay, to them, that's what DNA looks like. Now, what we added to the bottom there were those little blue and red columns. And those blue and red columns are addresses. That's all they are. It's just an address. Okay, think of a gene like a long piece of thread, but you got to know where on the gene you're talking about. So those are addresses, and on those addresses, the blue are the opioid naive, people who have never taken opioid, and the red are our people who, when they try to stop taking the opioid, they get sick, people who are opioid dependent. And what you're looking at there is what we talk about methylation. So when we're talking about, can this be inherited by the children? Can this be inherited by the grandchildren? Sam, does your child have the same methylation pattern that you have? And if so, did that influence your child's development? That's the question. And so what I wanted to show, if we can jump ahead to the next slide, is Mother Nature in her simplicity. Okay, and in Mother Nature, okay, and in this world, the world of nature. The simpler something is, the more stable it is.
Mhm.
The more complex something is, the less stable it is. So if you want to know if methylation is stable, what you really want to know is it simple? And unfortunately, the news is not good. There is nothing in the world of DNA more simple than a methylation. If you look at the screen in front of you, you see the little diagram on the left. It's the one that does not have the red circle. Okay, that is it's called cytosine. That is precisely where the methyl group attaches. And then on the right, you see that little thing in the circle. That's it. That's the demon. That's the enemy. That's the whole thing.
Wow.
That's it. Now, if you could make something simpler than that, I'm all ears. All you did was take the H off and put a C with 3 H's on it.
Mhm.
That's all you did. You guys see that? You took the H off
Yes.
and you
Yeah.
put the H on there. Okay, I was a chemistry major way back in the day. Guys, it doesn't get any simpler than that. And the problem is, because it's so simple, it's stable. It's so stable that it will not reverse itself. That's how stable it is. How stable is it? It's not going to reverse itself.
Wow.
It has to be reversed. Now, are there things in the body that possibly could reverse it? We don't know. Okay, over time, could the body reverse some of it? We don't know. We could sit here to the end of the show and make a list of things we don't know. Okay, wouldn't take us to the end of the show to make a list of things we do know. That wouldn't take very long at all.
Right.
But I wanted you guys to see this. This is important because what this means is we're up against simplicity. And that's not a good place to be. Okay, we're also up against something that's so stable that unless something happens, now in the world of chemistry, something is called an enzyme that comes in and cuts that C off. I'm not sure that enzyme even exists. I'm not sure Mother Nature has a way to reverse that. I really don't know. And we're kind of, I hate to say this, guys, and it's embarrassing to say this, but we got to be honest, we're kind of at the edge of what's known and unknown. Is there a way to reverse that? Don't know. There's no current technology to reverse it. And that's amazing. There's no current technology to reverse it. Seems to me if you had something that you didn't have a technology to reverse it, make darn sure it didn't happen. The FDA would make darn sure this never happened. So
Right.
that's what I wanted to say for today. Because what this means, and Sam, I'm looking right at you on this screen. What this means is that what the pharmaceutical companies did to your body, you did not do this to your body, Sam. You would not have. You
Right.
would not have. Okay, you would not have done this to your body. This was done to you, and it was done to you without your knowledge, without your permission, and without your consent. This was done to you.
Right.
And the question is it stable enough to be inherited? And what little bit of information we have, unfortunately, is yes, this is a stable change to the DNA. That is not what you want to hear. Is this thing capable of passing down generation after generation after generation after generation? Absolutely.
Let me ask a question here. Is this like, can this also act like when you have twins, it skips a generation and then it hits the next generation?
Got absolutely no studies. We could
Okay, because I have some people like that.
we have absolutely no idea. We have no idea when it's one parent, when it's both parents, when it's grandparents. We can in science we can only rely upon science, and we have no science. But do you guys see how that is stable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir.
And do you guys understand that stability in this situation is unfortunate?
Very.
Yes.
And that was
I
that.
do.
Sam, everybody wants to hear your take on things. Is this?
Um,
I
I
see
mean,
as a disappointment. I'm
this
disappointed.
is good. I mean, I think this is good because this is just what I needed to hear, and I think this is what a lot of mothers are going to need to hear, that it's not our fault. You know, it's not it's nothing we done, and it's not something that we could control. You know, and that even though we have these children out here that God forbid we would take nothing for, and we would do everything in our power to do anything for, you know, we didn't do anything to deserve this. We didn't do anything to make this happen. We didn't do anything to make them have what they have. And it's what I needed anyway. It was not our fault because we did not have that choice. So, I mean, it's a
That's
good thing. It is a little disappointing, yes. But, because, I mean, in the back of my mind, I was hoping for, oh, we don't know, would, would last through everything. But, you know, I'm kind of glad because I'm glad it came down to this, because now I know that some of that guilt can come off my shoulders. I don't have
it's
to
their
carry that
guilt.
around anymore.
It's their guilt, not your guilt.
Right.
Yeah, you shouldn't have guilt because, like Dr. Smith has said before,
Yeah.
if a provider would have asked you, Samantha, this might possibly happen to you, and then you also have a chance of passing it down to your child, I'm pretty sure you would
Absolutely.
have been like, okay, I don't want that medicine then.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I would not
So
not have
you
taken it,
weren't
and I'm sure
you weren't given
anybody
the
else wouldn't have
option.
either.
Yeah, you weren't given the option. You weren't given the chance to have a consent because nobody told you anything.
Hmm.
So, like
Absolutely.
Dr. B saying, don't carry that guilt with you. It's not your guilt, it's
Yeah.
their guilt.
Yeah.
But that's what
And
I'm saying. I mean, I think this is just one more kind of this is one way that has pretty much lightened that load. So it is a for sure. Here's the science, you know, that I don't have to carry that load anymore. So I mean, that's the proof that I need.
Bless your heart.
So I mean, I
It's
Josh,
think
I want
that'll
horrible.
be good for a lot of people.
Josh,
It's
I want to
horrible what they've done to you. It's
Josh, I want
horrible.
to ask you a question.
Yes.
Um, you are a man of, and you are a praying man.
Yes, sir.
Some would say that what you're looking at on that screen is how God created life. That is the
Correct.
DNA. And sometimes the hardest thing to create is something simple. It's easy to create something complex, but it's hard to create something simple.
Yes.
What 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 that the addition of that C, okay, taking the H off and putting the C on, that turns off that whole area of DNA.
Sure.
That's you're looking at the on and off switch. You're looking
I
Right.
at
am.
when it has an H, it's on. When it has a C, it's off.
Right.
You have to admit the simplicity of it is both beautiful and awe-inspiring.
Yes, sir. I agree with
So
that.
so if you believe that what you're looking at is how God has created life in this universe,
Yes.
then Josh, here's my question: These pharmaceuticals, these pharmaceutical companies, are they messing with something that God created?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now, you know what I look at it as this is what the pharmaceutical company has done is one of the building blocks that will go on. It's like the basement. It's like the foundation, and
Yes.
everything else will be tilted. It's
Hmm.
it's 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 basic, just like you said. Here it is, simple as it can be. But that's a
Hmm.
basic thing. That's what God didn't expect anything to be built on it.
Yep.
And
Right.
that's what the pharmaceutical company did. They built on it.
Yep.
Right.
So
Correct.
Josh, I want to ask you another question, Josh. I want to stay with this a little bit longer.
Okay.
Okay, if what you're looking at, if the DNA was what God built in order to give us life. Okay, then there is a sanctity to that DNA. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement. Yes, sir.
Okay, so Josh, okay, this is going to blow your mind a little bit. If the DNA was God's creation, if the DNA was God's handiwork, and if the DNA was God's masterpiece, then you know Satan has always wanted to get his fingerprint on that DNA.
Absolutely.
Is that what has happened here, Josh?
I fully believe that. Yes. I believe it's all. We've touched on this before. I believe it's all his handiwork. I would say. I really believe it is. I mean, the Bible, basically, I mean, it says the love of money is the root of all evil. The love, and it comes down to money, because they knew that it was wrong. They knew that they had, the science was already proven. In other words, they let it slip through the cracks. Somebody let it go through, like we said before, like a quality control process.
Hmm.
They knew it had it had side effects. It had things that would hurt us or hurt the population.
They knew it was addicting. They knew a lot of
Right?
different things. I
They
even
let
think
it
they knew
go
about
through.
the methylation. I think they knew about everything. I think they knew about it all. And I think for the sake of $1, like what you guys are saying, they by God were going to do anything in their power to make sure they could get this drug approved.
Yep.
Because one way or the other, they had to get this thing out so they could start making some money. Because they probably
Hmm.
put millions into research and getting everything done to get this stuff ready to get sold. And they weren't going to let anything get in their way from them being able to
Anything to
make their
stop
money
it.
back. Yeah,
Straight
it
up.
was a big investment for, I bet you, a lot of people. I bet you a lot of people invested a lot of money on this.
Oh yeah.
So they were not willing to let that money uh go in vain. I mean,
And their
they weren't going to do
reputation.
that. Yeah,
And
this
their
Hmm.
was people's probably
reputation.
livelihoods and reputations on the line and everything else. Probably, whole families, generational wealth they put up on this. I mean, you don't know. This probably took billions. So,
Right.
But
it's just,
what saying that, Travis, and saying what we're talking about, it was done so that it
yeah,
reoccurs. So you
Well,
can't.
Josh, take it a step further. Josh, take it a step further.
I think they did it on purpose to make lifelong patients because they knew
Hmm.
eventually it was going to be a problem. But they were like, let's cross this bridge when we get to it.
Josh,
Yeah.
Like,
take it a
Go
step
ahead.
further.
Not lifelong patients, even after that.
And Josh,
Go
let
ahead,
me
Doc.
Generations and generations.
That's
Josh,
right.
let me ask you this. Did evil find a way to reach the unborn, the children and the grandchildren? Did evil find a way to reach the most innocent among us?
Yeah.
yeah, because the methylation can be passed
Yeah,
down through the DNA.
I,
So
Right.
yes, it found a way.
I, I'd have to say, yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Do
it
you see
that
perspective?
that's his sole purpose, Dr. Smith, is
Right.
to deceive, to lie, to steal, to kill, to destroy. And ultimately, yes, God is in control, but he does
He
have
gives us
dominion
free
over
will.
this earth. He has
Hmm.
dominion over this earth.
That's what you said that, Travis, free will.
He
I was
gives
going
us
to say
free will.
earlier that I almost think it was somewhere along the line of free will and coming into play a little bit too, where he wanted to leave that choice of free will out there, but it kind of was took and run off with, like run in a different direction with. It wasn't necessarily free will anymore. They turned it around to kind of Satan taking over,
Yes, they
because I mean,
turned.
I look at them as Satan. They are Satan. This
Correct.
pharmaceutical company to me is Satan because they are the ones that have done this to me and to my child. So, I mean, I think they've just they overtook God's way and tried to
I agree
take
with
the
you.
earth in their own hands.
I agree
Yeah.
with you, Sam. I have
Yeah,
two grandchildren that are autistic
Yes.
yeah.
too. I
You know,
mean,
I,
Yes.
and
I
That.
feel like I feel like God, he puts us on this earth and he gives us free will. and he
Mhm.
doesn't interfere with what the devil is doing, because he knows the devil is here to try to deceive and trick and get his, get his people of God to, basically turn
Oh,
Ooh, we lost
decision
you,
what choice we're going to make, whether we're going to be,
oh,
we're going to live in the light with God, or if we're going to follow the devil and deceive and lie and trick. And
mhm,
even though he might give us a lifelong of wealth and jewels and everything we want, that money is not good money. Not all money is good money.
right.
And
Correct.
that to me is money that's made in vain. That's what you call blood money. And
Correct.
that's the
Mhm,
money that they've made, to me, is blood money. It's been made on the lives of a lot of people. It's destroyed a lot of people. It's destroying our kids' lives. It can be passed down in the DNA.
Yep.
So that's, to me, is blood money. This whole thing is is
yep,
is
Absolutely.
is it's demon work at its
Yeah.
best. I mean, to
Yes.
be
Yeah.
quite frank with you.
Yeah. I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm not pushing. Um, well, part of this is me wanting to be shine for the Lord. A lot of it is, and shine for the people that can't shine anymore. But our free, the victory's been won. Satan knows his days are numbered, and whatever he can tear up, he's going to try to tear up mankind, and to get mankind's eyes off of God on the world, into the world. He tries to divert us so we don't walk, so that we are sidetracked. Let me say that best.
yep,
That's the best way. But we are derailed from following Him. We fall into the things of this world, and
mhm,
and that's the whole thing. That's what he does. He does it very well, but he knows his days are numbered. If you read the Bible and you
mhm,
And he's going to
believe.
push harder, and he's going to
Yes,
push harder and
yep,
harder.
yes, Dr. B. And all this, anything bad, I'm not saying we have trials that test our faith, and we have tests where God can trust us. But when, like, evil stuff like this, that is of the devil. Because the
mhm,
Bible says God's not the author of confusion. Well, this whole world's confused,
Yes.
basically. That's the way I see it. In the
Yeah,
47
look
years
what's
I've
going
lived
on.
here. And as in this, what we're going through, in every way we look, even in this country, I'm very disappointed. And I love the United States of America. I am glad that I was born in the United States of America. But we are spiraling in a downward hole real fast. And I hate that because it breaks my heart because I love
We're getting
America.
too far away from God. Look,
Yeah.
look what they've done. They took the Ten Commandments down at the White House. They took
Yep.
God out of schools. They changed
Yep.
all this certain things. But if you're Muslim or if you're satanic, you can pray 5 minutes a day at school. But if you're Christian, you can't pray. I don't know if it's like that in your school system, but
Oh yeah.
in some of
Oh
the in
yeah.
some of the schools here in Mecklenburg County, it's like that, and that's
It.
not right.
Oh,
Um, you know,
that's everywhere,
so
brother. Yeah.
I feel like what you're saying is correct 100%.
Yeah.
It's the devil's job to confuse and trick, and
Yeah.
God has no part in that, but at the same time he gives us free will.
Yeah.
He lets us be able to make our own decision what we're going to, which route we're
Right.
going to take, which,
mhm,
where we're going to live, if we're going to live in the light or if we're going to live in the dark. But
Right.
I feel like that this country, stating on what you just said, has gotten so far away from God. That's what's wrong with our country right now.
Absolutely.
People are willing to do things like what they've done with this opioid medicine. They're willing
Yes.
to do anything just to make a dollar. They don't care who they
Yep.
hurt. They don't care what it takes. They don't care who dies. It's all
Yep.
about the dollar and nothing else matters. And
Yep.
to me,
right.
that's a part of living in the dark. That's
Yep.
you can't be right with God and make a move like that, make a decision
No.
like that. I don't care what you're
That's
doing.
right.
But it took our free choice away once we started taking that
It
medicine.
took our
That,
free choice away. Yes,
yes.
we didn't have a choice because of
No.
the choice they made. Correct.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's how
You're
I
right.
feel 100%
Yep.
too. It's
Yep.
different from our perspective because like we told Sam, no one explained to us what
Mhm,
was going to happen with the medicine. No one
No.
told us the side effects. No one told us it could be passed down in DNA. So when it comes to us taking the opioids, we didn't have a choice because we didn't know. You know,
Right.
you said it yourself. You were just like me. You thought you could just come right off of it, like you do
Yeah.
pot.
Yep.
Like, you just quit
Yeah.
smoking pot back in the day. You don't get sick. You just go
Yep.
on with your life like nothing happened.
Yep.
And that's what I was thinking too whenever I first tried to quit. And then
Yeah.
when I got sick, I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble here, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
this is not
That's what
good.
Mhm.
I said
Not good.
verbally.
Yeah, I
I
said
said,
that same thing. I said, I'm in trouble here, man. I'm in
yep.
big
I said,
trouble.
oh no,
Yep.
I'm stuck.
I
I'm
think
messed up.
everybody has that oh no moment. And I
Mhm.
bet you, Sam, you had the same moment. I
Yeah. Oh
guarantee
yeah.
you.
Absolutely.
When you realized you would get
I
sick when you
did.
didn't take it, you were probably like, holy
Yes.
crap, what have I done? Like,
Yes.
I'm in
That's
trouble
exactly
here.
what I
Like,
said. What have I done?
yeah,
What
It's
like,
have
I
I
mean,
like
I had the
done?
stepping on
same,
the brakes. It's like trying to
Yes.
step on the brakes to avoid hitting a train, and your
Mhm.
brakes don't work.
yep,
And they
Yep.
that's
don't do any
exactly like
good.
it was. Cause by that point,
Mhm.
you realize, like, I'm already too far in it. Like, I'm too far
Mhm.
gone. Like, oh my God, what do I do now? And then you go to
Yeah.
start trying to cover it up and make sure nobody knows. And then
Yep.
before you know it, it's already getting worse and worse and worse every freaking
Mhm.
week because your body's
Yep.
getting more immune to it. So you're taking more and more and more and more.
Yep.
So it's
Yes.
just like, and that's where the problem happens. Like,
Yep.
I don't miss that for sure. I
yeah,
do
it
not
almost
miss
like
it.
your body gets immune to it. Doesn't matter how much if you keep using, you're gonna have to, before you know it, you'll have to take 40 pills at one time just not to be sick.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird how it almost like it's like, I don't know what you would call it. It almost like it evens out in your system, and you don't even get
Mhm.
high anymore. You're just not get. That you don't get high after a certain
Yep.
while. But it's almost like no matter how big your tolerance gets, your body just normalizes out, and you just
Yep.
stay not
Yep.
sick. Like, you're
Yeah.
not getting high, but you just stay normal. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
really weird. They definitely need a lot more tests once we get over all this stuff and get CLIA certified and FDA approved on the
Question.
tests and everything. They need a lot more tests done so we can figure out what could happen or what could happen in the future. But
Mhm.
This is my
Or
last.
why it's happening.
This is my last question of the week. And actually, I've got two. Before I go to the last one, Travis, I had a question for you. Okay, in working with you, you you I've come to learn that you have a fascination with how things work. You're probably one of those kids that growing up you wanted to know how the clock worked. You
Yep.
took it apart.
probably,
Yeah.
yep.
Mhm.
Mhm.
When you saw how simple the methylation was, when you saw it's just turning an H into a C, that's all it is. Taking an H, you're turning it into a C, and that turns off. That's the switch that turns off the DNA. And I was just curious if you found that simplicity just fascinating, that's how the body works. You got an
Yeah,
on
I
and
mean,
off.
the way with the graphs and the way you explained it, I mean, yeah, I was really amazed and I was impressed by how simplified it was. So yeah, I think it's great
Yeah.
as far
It
as
is.
like explaining it
All
in the
right.
graph.
Last question of the week, and it's for Sam. Okay, it's for Sam. We're there you are, Sam. All right. You saw the pictures. You saw that you saw that
Mhm.
that what the pharmaceutical companies did to you was on that part of your DNA. The H came off
Mhm.
and the C came on. And when the H came off and the C came on, that area of the DNA was turned off. So it comes down to this. You've heard the discussion today, Sam. It
Yeah.
comes down to this. Do you feel that what you're looking at, what happened to your DNA, and what happened to these people, is this something that falls into the category of something evil?
Absolutely, I do. Um, I think first of all, if it's that simple, why has it not? I mean, I want to know why we haven't already done this. Thank God we're doing it now, and thank God for you for coming up with this to do now, because I mean that is kind of simple. I mean, it shocked me that it was as simple as that. As far as coming into something evil, yes, I think that at one time, I know that, we all put those pills in our mouth, but there was a reason why we were putting those pills in our mouth. There was somebody that gave us those pills that told us it would be okay, and that it was okay to use those pills, and that it was safe, and that it wouldn't harm us, and that it we would be okay to take those. When it comes down to the science of it, yes, I think that falls into evil. I do.
Yeah, because none of us were okay. Nobody who takes it is
Nobody
okay.
was okay to use
Nobody.
those.
Nobody. You're
Nobody.
doomed.
The
You
ones
are
that's
doomed.
already passed on can't get this test, can't get these tests done, and can't stand up here for themselves and want to get the information. But I know that anybody that has ever put one of these pills in their mouth has not been okay from that
Nope.
day.
Nope.
So, I just, yes, it's evil. It's pure evil.
God,
Hi,
it's
Chrissy.
so sick. It really is evil if you think about it. I mean, it's just so
Hmm.
disturbing. I mean, it's just
Yes.
god awful.
Right.
Like you can't imagine why they would allow that. It's just
And then,
or even want to
thinking,
do it.
like, I mean, I know there's evil in the world, but you think about that you really want to do this to babies that's not even born, and you really
That's like
want,
selling
you're
your
really
soul. Like
thinking, yeah, you really are taking souls of people. So,
they
yeah,
sold their
that's
soul is what they
definitely
did. They
evil.
sold their soul.
Hmm.
They didn't care how many people got hurt, and they didn't care who got killed. They didn't care what happened. They
Absolutely.
were gonna make their money.
Absolutely.
It's very
Beyond
true.
evil.
Yep.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate the talk about this and our babies because it affects every one of us in one way or another. So, definitely, I love Thursdays. I love that we get to discuss this. So, thank you so much for joining in Live Talk with Dr. B every Monday through Thursday, 12:30 to 1. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you, everybody. I
Thank
appreciate
y'all.
you greatly. I'll see you on Monday.
All
Happy
right.
holidays.